Where do you consider yourself? Your job, your status in life, your education, your background, your experience. I'm Dr. So-and-so. No, you're not. That's a title. I'm Captain so-and-so. No, you're not. That's a title. Who are you? Oh, I'm Jim. I'm a manager at such and such business. No, you're not. That's what you do. You see, that is not who you are. But we get confused in our society, and we think that we are the circumstances in our lives. With what regard do you hold yourself? The reason that this is important is this. We live in a spiritual universe. We have grown up believing that there is a spiritual universe and there is a material universe. And as we grow spiritually, and as we enter into the experience of the divine, we realize that there are not two universes. It's recognizing that spirit is all there is. Spirit is energy. And that energy takes whatever form is appropriate at whatever time to express itself. So there's no difference between the spirit as undifferentiated energy and spirit as form. There's no difference between steam and ice in essence. One of them you can touch. You can run a ship on it and it will sink. The other is just kind of nebulous, but it's there. Keep that picture in mind. We live in a spiritual universe. There's only one question I think that you're ever going to have to truly wrestle with on your spiritual path. The one question that we must ask and we must answer is this. Very, very simple. Does matter create consciousness, or does consciousness create matter? It's the only question you ever need to consider. It's the only question you ever need to consider. Does consciousness create matter, or does matter create consciousness? Now, we believed for years in the solidity of matter. We believed that matter was firm. And now we're finding out it is not that at all. We're finding out that energy becomes matter, and matter goes back into being energy. And we have to ask ourselves, under what direction or what power or what force will energy become matter? What makes energy become matter? If all of this energy is kind of there, and suddenly it becomes a universe, what made it do that? Why did it do that? Did it make itself do that? Is it self-motivated? And from a spiritual point of view, we would say it was the activity of spirit. Something moved upon the unformed energy and brought it into unformed. That something is an activity of spirit. What is the activity of spirit? The activity of spirit is thought. Spiritual universe. That's what we talk about. Spiritual mind treatment, mental spiritual universe that we live in. So we believe as spiritual beings, our belief is that consciousness creates matter instead of the other way around. And if consciousness creates matter, then it suddenly starts to make sense to us that everything that we experience in our life is a result of our inner beliefs. That we can make conscious use of this power in the universe that responds to us according to our belief, in order to have a life that is healthy, happy, and fulfilled. We can make unconscious use of that power in the universe that responds to us according to our belief to create pain and suffering. So what are we taught in Buddhism? We are taught in Buddhism that pain and suffering exist. Pain and suffering don't need to exist, and the cause of pain and suffering is what? Erroneous thoughts, beliefs, and emotions. Isn't that what we're saying? If you have erroneous thoughts, beliefs, and emotions, you have an erroneous experience, if you will, in life. Change your thinking, change your life. If life is done unto you according to your belief, what is the deepest belief that you hold about yourself? It is your self-esteem. It is how you regard yourself. It is whether you think you are good enough, smart enough, pretty enough, worthy enough, fast enough. What else? Something moved upon the unformed energy and brought it into the form that we now know. That something is an activity of spirit. What is the activity of spirit? The activity of spirit is thought. This is a mental, spiritual universe. That's why we talk about spiritual mind treatment, mental, spiritual universe that we live in. So we believe as spiritual beings, our belief is that consciousness creates matter instead of the other way around. And if consciousness creates matter, then it suddenly starts to make sense to us that everything that we experience in our life is a result of our inner beliefs. That we can make conscious use of this power in the universe that responds to us according to our belief in order to have a life that is healthy, happy, and fulfilled. We can make unconscious use of that power in the universe that responds to us according to our belief to create pain and suffering. So what are we taught in Buddhism? We are taught in Buddhism that pain and suffering exist. Pain and suffering don't need to exist, and the cause of pain and suffering is what? Erroneous thoughts, beliefs, and emotions. Isn't that what we're saying? If you have erroneous thoughts, beliefs, and emotions, you have an erroneous experience, if you will, in life. Change your thinking, change your life. If life is done unto you according to your belief, what is the deepest belief that you hold about yourself? It is your self-esteem. It is how you regard yourself. It is whether you think you are good enough, smart enough, pretty enough, worthy enough, fast enough to be true about ourselves in consciousness ultimately appears in our life. Because what appears in our life is an outpicturing of that which we believe. Believe it in your heart that it is so, and it is so. Very simple. Buddhism, everything you experience is the result of what you have thought. Judaism, as you think and believe in your heart, so it is. Got that? We live in a spiritual universe. That which appears to be the material is that which is spiritual, taking the appropriate form. What gives it the direction of what form to take? Consciousness. What is consciousness? There's conscious awareness, which just is. And then there's intellectual concepts, which may or may not be, which probably are not. They are a collection of things that we have grown up believing to be true, which are not true. But because we believe them, we continue to experience them. So we want to talk a little bit today about self-esteem. Why is it important? Why did it get such a bad rap? You know, I bet you if you went out of here today and the first 10 people you know that you went to said, you know what I'm doing this month? I am building my self-esteem. What kind of reaction do you think you would get? Positive or negative? Oh, who do you think you are? Right? There's something wrong with that. You're pumping up yourself. Right? You get all of these things. And all of those criticisms are true at one level and completely without any ground at another. And I want to explain those to us today so we can get ourselves out of this trap. Here's why it's important. Self-esteem is important because it represents to you ultimately what you believe to be true about yourself, and you are never going to experience any more or any less in life than what you believe to be true about yourself. It is that simple. Change your thinking, change your life.